Hi, I'm Kelly Morgan with the Inspired Writer Studio at www.creativelife.com. And I'm here tonight to talk about a James Thurber quote that I ran across this morning. And it says, don't get it right, just get it written. And it's ironic because I wrote the quote here on my piece of paper and I didn't write it correctly, so I like that. Don't get it right. I have don't get it just get it written. But it is don't get it right, just get it written. I love that. And so I want to give you tonight some tips about how to do that. And I have to say that I have a huge perfectionist, and I know from teaching classes for 20 years that some of you can probably. I start writing and I just want to correct it as I go. So one of the big tips that I want to give you is to write by hand. And there's something about writing by hand. In fact, they've actually done studies with this at UCLA. It triggers your right brain. And so when you write by hand, you're going to write things that you might not write when you write in the computer. And I don't want to say one is better than the other. It's just that they trigger different sides of the brain. So writing by hand, it triggers the right side of the brain, which is your imagination, the senses, your emotions and feelings. And when you write into the computer directly, you're triggering the structure part of things, the logical, the putting things in order. So a lot of times I will write by hand my first drafts, and then I will later put them into computer. And when I do that, I let myself edit it a little bit. However, there's a certain energy that comes about from just writing. And if you would at least type in your first draft exactly as you've written it, or as close as you can, you don't lose that energy. And when you go to edit, do a save as. Now, I want to say that doing several different versions of the same story can be a very good thing. Like, I have a woman in one of my writing classes, and she never wants to write about the same incident more than once. And so I always tell the story of a woman named Irene. And she came to my class. Her husband had just died of a massive heart attack. And she started writing about it. And every single week, we do improvisational writing classes. No matter what prompt I gave, she used that prompt to write about what had happened. It was the most amazing thing. By the end of the 8 weeks, I mean, every week, a different version of what had happened, some other aspect of it. And the writing went deeper and deeper and deeper. And by the 8th week, she not only was able to describe all the external circumstances of what happened, she was able to describe all her reactions, how she felt about it. It was this very full, rich piece of writing. And what was the most amazing thing about it is she didn't consider herself a writer at all. She had never learned the craft of writing. But I'm a firm believer, and some of us who have learned the craft need to do this even more, that we just have to get into these periods where we're writing by hand. We're not worried about craft. We're not worried about anything. We're just getting down different sides of the story. I want to say, I think this is really important for fiction writers as well. I have worked with a lot of playwrights and actually more screenwriters who, when they go to write a scene, it sounds kind of fake. But if you write about your own life and then translate it into the script or the novel, it actually works better. So I'm not saying that you have to do everything that your fiction characters do, but let's just say, I remember one person was writing about going into the bathroom, and she was there with her lover, and so I had her just be aware when she went into the bathroom that day, what did her boyfriend do with the razor? How did she move her hands? Just to become very aware of all the business and all the different things. Then when you write and you get those details down by hand, you...
Try. Okay, go ahead. And you're back.
I think I was disconnected for a minute, but I'm going to keep going. So hopefully you heard my tip about writing by hand. Whether you're a nonfiction writer or a fiction writer, try to get the incidents of your own life down and translate them into a finished piece. And that's going back to the James Thurber quote, don't get it right, just get it written. The second tip that I want to give you is no criticism in the beginning. I think the most dangerous thing that I've become aware of in my journey is to get criticism too soon on a manuscript. I used to go to these writing workshops where everyone in the room would give you criticism. That was the worst thing in the world. I would leave those workshops thinking, well, maybe I should do this, and then I should do this, and then I should do this, and then I would never get the whole thing written. The only thing better than that is when I would go to a workshop and there was one person critiquing the work who at least knew what they were talking about. Again, I would say don't do this too early. Get the whole story down, or get lots of stories down before you get any kind of critiquing. In my workshops, what we do is we like to, you read it out loud so you can, first of all, hear. I say do this at home. Even if you don't have other people around, but otherwise read it to people and then have a place where they can just reflect back the details of what they heard. It's like they're a mirror for you. Let them say, oh, I heard you say that you went to your grandmother's house and there were mothballs in the closet and Barbie dolls up on the shelves and a pincushion, and that she used to go in there and dress for bingo. You know, that just sounds ridiculous to repeat back exactly what you heard, but it is the same as looking in a mirror. You have to look in the mirror to see how you look before you go out. And so when people just repeat back what they heard, you can start to see that. The other thing is you start to understand what impacted them. What did they most remember? A lot of times the question I'll ask the other people in the group is, please reflect back what you most remember. You know, what's the most memorable? I call them the Velcro moments. What stuck with you the most? Now, I've found this, and other people have said the same. It is so incredible to leave a workshop knowing what really landed, because it gives you ideas of what to write more of. And when I talk about this point about no criticism, what I'm really saying is let yourself write. The first stages of, you know, just getting it down, don't worry about getting it right, is just to get down as much of the story as you can, all of everything, and then wait till later to edit it. And when you just get it down, you just want to generate more writing in the beginning, okay? And if you want to do anything to funnel that, then at least decide what story that you want to tell. I'm doing that with my book, Write to Love. I've done a lot of writing, and now I'm at the point where I'm thinking, well, where do I want to limit this story to? And then I'm doing the same process. Then it goes to the editor. I think the third point that I want to make, and it goes along with the other 2 points, is to write consistently. Like, just keep writing. You can figure out what you want to talk about by writing, or what you want to write about. It's hard to just figure it out in your head. So my thing is just write, and through writing consistently, you begin to understand, well, what is it I want to write about? And this is very important for beginners, because they need to understand that what it is that they really want to write about. And for more experienced people, it's important because you're working out your story on the page. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's good to set a timer, which 20 minutes, and just write without interruption for those 20 minutes. Then stop. Let yourself breathe. Which brings me to my programs that I'm doing this fall. They both start in September. And one of them is a program which will help you. It's a tool to help you write consistently every day. In that program, we'll work out a path for you on what you want to write about. If you're a beginner and don't know, then that will be the path. And that program is called the Inspired Writer Studio. And the other program that I have been teaching for over 20 years are improvisational writing groups. I am putting these things online this week, so you'll be able to access all of this at www.creativelife.com. That's www.creativelife.com. Those will be 2 programs that are starting in the fall. You can do both of them. There will be discounts if you do. I'm working that all out now. So stay tuned, check out my website, and I hope to see you sometime online. Kelly Morgan checking out.